Hi, my name is Colette Rabba, and I'm with Orion Realty. I'm a residential real estate broker in the GTA West, an income property specialist, and an investor myself. The reason why Araceli and I like to do this show is because we're both investors and we love to give great information to viewers and listeners just like you.
Welcome everyone. This is Araceli, Transition Wealth Advisor and real estate investor in the US and Canada. I'm here with Colette every week, so we chat something about real estate investing and finances. Colette, can you introduce yourself before we go over what we're talking about today?
Of course, we have to apologize. Araceli and I have a bit of the giggles today, but we love what we do, so that's why this happens once in a while. So welcome everybody. My name is Colette Rabba. I'm a residential real estate broker in the GTA. And Araceli and I love, as she mentioned, we love to talk about real estate and finances and how they all work together. So today we have a very interesting topic, or actually we have a question for you.
Yes, right. So usually we answer your questions, but today we have a question for you. And the question is, would you sell your house at auction? This is something that is being talked about here in Canada. And I don't know about the US, but in Canada. So Colette, tell us about what you know. How did that come about and why?
Sure, of course. So it's sort of been in the peripheral for a while now. I'm just opening up an email that I got last December, and it's from RECO, which is the Real Estate Council of Ontario. So I get newsletters and I get information sent to me because I'm a real estate agent, broker. And what they, there's always something happening in the real estate world that the public doesn't necessarily hear about. Sometimes we hear the news, there's a news article about it, but what they were talking about was to make the sale of a house more transparent. So the way it works now, the laws that govern us, we are not allowed to tell. Let's say there's five, and as you know, if you haven't been living under a rock for the last 2 years, there are multiple offers. This is what's happening in this market. It's a seller's market, so there are a lot of people bidding on houses, and then let's say I'm the listing agent and there are 5 offers. I see all the offers and I present them to my seller, but I'm not allowed to tell the other buyers what those offers are as far as price or conditions or timing. So if somebody says, when do the sellers want to close? That I can say to all the buyers to say, they're looking at September 30th, let's say, for example, that I can give that information out. If they prefer to make the offer at August 31st, that's really the buyer's prerogative to take their chances, let's say. So what's happened is there's been a lot of pushback with that to say, hey, it's not transparent. The bidding goes crazy. Let's say there's five. Let's say, I'll give you a scenario. House is $1 million. That's the listing price. Everything in the area has sold for $1.3 million. So now you have, let's say, 5 offers come in. Everybody's going to offer something different. So let's say the bidding starts at $1 million. That's really what people are looking at the list price now. They're already thinking that. This is just a suggestion or the start price, and then you go from there. So all those 5 bidders, one could be like, forget it, I'm only going to offer $900,000. Somebody else could be like, okay, I'm going to offer $1,020,000, $1.5 million, $2 million. Like, you don't know what the other offers are. You just know your offer. So that privacy for the seller, it works in their favor because you don't know. You think, oh my gosh, everybody's offering more than me. I have to up my offer. Mm-hmm. So how would you feel if you're in that situation?
Well, it depends where you are, if you're the seller or the buyer. I'm telling you because at least I've never bought at auction for a regular house. I usually buy houses at auction, but because they're in foreclosure. So you know that there is a lot of work to do and there's no conditions, but it is very transparent because they have the same thing. You start the bid at $50,000 and you go in increments of $100 and the bidders are there, you can listen. I bid 50,000 and somebody says about 50,100. And somebody comes out and it says 52,000, right? And then you know if you want to go above that price or not.
Exactly. So as a buying agent, that's what I tell my clients. I go, look at the list price is a suggestion. The area for like homes that are very similar to the one that you want, they are typically in the 1.3 range, 1.3 million. So really, if you don't have 1.3 million, we can try all day long, but that seller knows. You don't think they know what the area is selling for?
And I think it's just a really bad trick, to be honest, because they seem to be under the market, but they know that if they have other agents looking, they're going to tell their buyers, hey, this house is supposed to be 1.3 instead of 1 million. And this kind of drives the house past the market value.
Exactly. And I personally can't say it's a trick, but yes, absolutely it's a trick. It's a marketing scheme. It's a way to get people excited about the property and to think, oh, they have a chance. It gives them hope to say, I have a chance to buy this house at $1 million. But if you know the industry, if you know the area, if you do your research and say, listen, that house most likely won't go for, because the seller knows what the value is. They're expecting 1.3 million, but they're listening to their agent to say, hey, listen, this is how all the houses in the area have been marketed. So when people think, okay, the marketing is just generally speaking going to be at a lower price, you technically can't put the house at 1.3 million, because then everybody will think, okay, so then they actually want 1.4 million, or they want, higher than the list price. So it's very, very confusing right now. And that's why, this whole idea of RICO looking into being more transparent is actually a really good thing. So in my opinion, I service a lot of buyers, and it's heartbreaking when I say to them, I know the house is listed at $799 or $899, but guess what? It most likely will go for over $1 million, because that's been the last few sales of the last, let's say, 3 months.
Yeah.
Those sellers are not going to accept 800. I'm really sorry to break it to you, but they're not. It's
that's exactly what I'm trying to tell you. And the thing is, especially if you are in Canada, I would really suggest that you do have an agent working with you to set up your expectations correctly, because it is very confusing. I go to the MLS and it says, oh, this house is listed for 800. And I looked around everywhere and I said, okay, this house does not belong in here. There's something really wrong with the house, which is not true. Well, and it's just the way it is, right?
The one thing that I hate too, and that's sort of the governing bodies that be shouldn't allow this, where there's some agents that do this kind of marketing thing where they will list the house at $1. And you know what they're after. Absolutely. Either they don't know what the list price should be, or they think, oh, I'm going to catch everybody and get multiple offers and have, prices from $5 to $5 million. And then people will get so excited that there's 20 other offers on the house, and we're going to go crazy and have this, really, really crazy, offer day. And they use that to say, oh, I sold this house for $200,000 over asking. So you see those signs, you see those marketing things where those agents put like, oh, I sold over asking. Yeah, we get it. We all, the smoke and mirrors is kind of BS. Like, we're sick of it. We don't care if you sell. I think there's something wrong if you actually sell it for $200,000. Your list price is not accurate. And that's where I have a problem with the industry to say that should not be allowed. You should say, but again, it's a free country. We can do whatever we want.
That's right. And the thing is whatever is working for the people that are looking for. Because just think of it this way. If you are just a first home buyer and the only thing that you qualify for, let's say it's 800,000.
Yeah.
Obviously, you're going to go to the MLS and look for anything that is 800,000. And if you look at this house and it says, oh my goodness, it's listed at 800,000. So you get your hopes up, and it is wrong in a way, but at the same time, I understand, because if it was actually listed for $1.3 million, you wouldn't even look at it.
Right. But then, and that's the trick with real estate representatives. So we are representing the seller. Our goal is to get the seller the highest and best offers. Mm-hmm. And that means the way of the world and the way of the market in that time. So right now it happens to be a seller's market. This is the routine that everybody else is following. So we sort of have to do it that way, because then we want to say, we're getting you 5 offers, we're getting you 10 offers, and this is how it's done. And that's the marketing that has to go behind it. Other agents that know the area and they know what the expectations are, it's really, it's water off their backs. It's not a big deal. They understand it. We don't like it. It's more work for us to do, to like scramble around and say, how we're going to do it. But ultimately it's up to the buyer to say, this is the line. I'm not going to offer more than I have $1 million. I qualify for $1 million. I'm not spending a penny over that. And if it sells for a penny over that, I have to be okay with it. So that's the hard part, where you're like, oh, shoot, do I offer $1 million and a penny? It's never that close. But you know what I mean? And it's also not just about the price, it's also conditions. So that's the thing I worry about auctions, to go back to auctions. What Ontario is doing, or what the government is trying to look at, is they're modeling Australia. So for years and years, as far as I know, I don't know too much about it, but Australia has been selling homes in that kind of space, in that auction space, where people literally go on the front lawn of the property after they've done their due diligence, after they've seen the house. It's probably on the market for a few weeks, that you can go through the house with an inspector. I would assume that. I don't know if that's the way it's going to work, but let's just say they do all their due diligence like a regular sale, but the date holding off offers is the auction date.
And it is open, so everybody will know exactly who is everybody else is offering.
Right. And this is the interesting thing too. When it comes to having a buying agent or a selling agent, this is why the government has to really look at how the process is going to happen, because we don't know right now. You can sell your house by auction right now, but you can't use a realtor. You have to go to an auction house. So really, when you think of marketing, where are people looking? Are they looking at MLS, or are they looking at auction houses to see what houses are available? I don't know that many people that are looking at auction houses that are really advertising houses for sale. I don't see that. I don't know about you.
No, I don't see that much.
Yeah, so it's that crossover where realtors may be able to get their auction license to also, post it on MLS, but also run the auction in a legal manner. That we need to learn how to do that, and then we'll be able to do it. So it's all a little fuzzy right now. They're not giving us too much information on how it's going to happen, but they're saying that it should come into effect September of this year. So it's coming.
Yeah, and the thing is, the also what you want to look at as a buyer is that you really want to have a chance, because if the auction or the marketing has been inflated, like you said, really undervalued, so you can attract more people, but that they're not going to be offering the right price, so then that was going to level everybody, because then maybe you only have 3 people actually bidding for the right price. Right. And if you see that people are not bidding more than, let's say, $10,000, let's say I'm going to give you $1 million and $10,000, and the other is going to offer maybe $20,000 more, right?
And guess what else is going to happen? So right now, when you present an offer, you can put conditions in. You have condition on finance, you have condition on inspection, you have condition on lawyers looking at the deal. All these things may disappear. Because when you're in auction, you probably have, I'm assuming you have to waive all of those things first.
Well, when you do it on a foreclosure auction, you have
Yep.
no conditions. There's no conditions, right?
Right.
So that's why I don't
scary.
understand yet how it would be different. Because at some point or another, either you do the due diligence after your offer has been accepted and then you can get out of it, or you do it before you actually make the offer and that's it. That's the offer.
Right. So I have a feeling that's how it's going to happen, where people really have to be on the ball. They might have to pay for, let's say, 4 or 5 inspections before they actually win a bid. So it's a really, really tricky situation. I don't know if people, obviously, when it first comes into fruition, a lot of people will be against it, for sure. It's always the way, right? Until people get used to it and say, okay, now I've seen an auction, I'm familiar with the process, I trust the person that, you see regular auctions for artwork or whatever it is, and it's kind of like, oh, it's so exciting, and people get taken away. Like they're like, oh my gosh, this is so exciting. They might overspend anyway in that kind of scenario. So to say that it'll be fair.
I don't know if it is going to be fair per se, but it'll be the occasional transaction, and you only have 2 or 3 people that they have certain amount of money, and when you stop, right? Like I said, this is my limit, and I think that this is what is important for people to understand, that if you do have a limit, you gotta stop right there.
Right, but also there is something called buyer's remorse, and once you put that hand up to say I'm bidding and you get it and you're like, oh my god, what have I done? It's too bad. Like you're stuck. So that when it's something like a piece of art or something else that you're in an auction for, you're like, oh shoot, okay, what have I just done? Now I can't go back. Like, what am I going to do? So there's, to get wrapped up in something like that where you're like, oh, I've really overspent. That can happen in a silent auction or in a live auction. I mean, it's always going to happen, and people are going to freak out and say, oh, you're going to hear those stories for sure. Oh, person bought this in auction and this is what I thought I was getting, and there's, all this the bodies hidden in the basement, I wasn't aware. So who knows?
I just think that because the process is relatively new, so we don't understand all the rules. So until all the rules come in place, whether you do the inspection before or after, or no inspection or no nothing, I don't know. So then you be able to understand better if it's better to do it at auction or the way that we normally do it.
Yeah. It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting for
sure. That's for sure. So let us know in the comments, what do you think about this new process? Is something that excites you, or it's something that you said, no, I don't want to do it? So let us know, because this is a good one. So can't wait to hear what you have to say. Okay.
I would love to hear that.
Thanks, Colette. We'll see you in the next one.
Thanks for joining us. Thanks for joining us today. If you'd like more information, or if you have any questions, please go to my website at www.coletterabba.com.